to Squarespace for supporting this video. If you need a website or a domain, go to squarespace.com/James for 10% off your first purchase. I have set up a total of two, I think, Google Alerts in my life. The first one, quite embarrassingly, was for my own name. Basically, when this channel started growing, I thought, maybe people are talking about it. And if they are, I want to know about it. So I set up a Google Alert for my name. People weren't really talking about it, though. So I got rid of it. Yeah, all quite unseemly, really. But the second, and much more relevant to this video, Google Alert I've set up in my life is for the Fujifilm X Pro 4, which I reckon I set up... I can check, actually. Oh, my word. 23rd of December, 2022 was when I first got a Google Alert about the Fujifilm X Pro 4. And here we are in the, what are we now, 4th year of Google Alerts. And we're still just at rumours. No sign of the camera yet. Better be good when it turns up. If it turns up. Anyway, long story short, recently I made the decision to revisit this. This is the Fujifilm X100 VI. And it's a camera that I've used briefly before and didn't really gel with. I made a video about it a couple of years ago. Please don't go and watch that video. It was mediocre at best. But in the past year or so, I have shot with this, the Fujifilm GFX100S. I think I've got that right, and I've really enjoyed doing so. So yeah, I thought I should revisit this. Now, if like me you've never been on TikTok, you might not know that this line of cameras, not just this one specifically, this line of cameras is very popular on TikTok, which I suspect is why I had to pay pretty close to retail for a used one, which was pretty painful, but I reasoned that if I didn't like it, I could sell it for pretty much what I paid for it. The problem is, as we'll discuss, I don't think I'm going to sell it because I really like it second time around, which is good. It's a good thing. Yes. You can probably tell I don't have a script for this video. I'm just sort of there. But, and also sorry about the cut on my nose if that's bothering you. Play fighting with my 4-year-old. I thought I would have supremacy in the play fighting arena for at least a decade after he was born, but no. Anyway, I went to Cornwall with said 4-year-old and the rest of my family a couple of weeks ago, and I was told explicitly that it wasn't going to be a photography trip, but I took a camera, and the camera was this, shockingly, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts about it second time around after a couple of weeks of shooting with it. I didn't have loads of time to do photography on that trip. Again, it wasn't a photography trip, but I did have some time, and I had a little bit of time to eat croissants as well, which was lovely. Anyway, photography. So one of the first things that I think people talk about in camera reviews typically is image quality. The thing is, it's 2026 and I shoot pretty much exclusively in the day. So I'm kind of done talking about image quality, to be honest. Image quality is great on all modern cameras. End of. But for what it's worth, this has got an APS-C sensor. It's got 40 megapixels of resolution. It's got a fantastic little pancake lens that's glued to the front of the camera in front of the sensor. It's great. Basically, this, like any modern camera, if it's not getting you results that you want, there's a good chance it's not the camera's fault. And I have to remind myself of that all the time. People ask me, or have asked me ever since I've been shooting with the GFX, if I use Fujifilm recipes and shoot JPEG and just have those recipes stamped onto the JPEGs. No. For me, shooting raw is the thing to do, because for me, a big part of photography and the joy of photography is the editing. That's a big part of the opportunity to make your photos yours, I think. So I love editing. That said, I do actually use recipes purely for the previews of what it is that I'm about to shoot, and the reviews on the back of the camera of what I have shot. Sometimes when I'm shooting RAWs, which is what I always do, as I said, if I'm shooting on my Sony, for instance, I'll look on the back of the camera after I've shot a photo, or I'll look through the EVF before I've shot a photo, and I'll think, well, that looks a bit kind of bland and lifeless. And in some ways that motivates me to go and edit the photo because I want to bring it to life. But in other ways it kind of dulls my excitement for the photos because they look dull. As you'd expect, it's RAWs. Actually, I'm not saying a RAW of the RAW, I'm saying a JPEG of the RAW, but you know what I mean. But on Fuji cameras, there is a huge amount of latitude to play with the colours, even if you're not shooting JPEGs. And for what it's worth, this is the recipe that I use so that I can see some nice, bright, vibrant colours in the EVF and on playback when I'm looking at the photos that I've shot, just to get, hopefully, a bit more of a sense of what it is that I've captured, rather than just looking at, again, a pretty flat file. Now, I would say probably the biggest reason I've got the Fuji X Pro 4 set up as a Google Alert, and have done for getting on for 4 years now, is the OVF, or the hybrid viewfinder that can be an OVF or an EVF. And that, I think, is genius. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. And if you shot with like a Leica M, for instance, or many film cameras that are rangefinders, I got one. My Texas Leica. Yes, there we go. If you've shot with anything like this, rangefinder style cameras, then you'll be familiar with the frame lines that you get around your frame. And it's brilliant because if you're shooting something that's moving sort of in and out of your frame, birds for instance, then you can see what's about to come into your frame before it does, and what's about to leave your frame before it does. Now that as a premise is not particularly unique. It's been around in cameras for, a long time, as you can see. But on these cameras, flicking a lever changes the viewfinder from an OVF to an EVF. And so then, as I do most of the time, if you want to look at your exact frame and you want to see some nice colours, you can just keep changing between the two. Phenomenal. I can hear a baby. Can you hear a baby? I assume it's mine. Not just a random baby in the house. It sounds like mine. This camera also has pretty good video specs. I haven't really used it all that much for video. I'm going to link to a video by Erin, who uses this camera all the time to shoot video and does so phenomenally. So if you're interested in what this camera can do for video, go and check out his stuff. But to be honest, my reliance on my stills cameras for video has decreased a lot in the past couple of years. I use my phone now quite a lot. I say past couple of years, probably more recent than that, but I use my phone quite a lot for filming now. And I use a DJI Pocket 3, which I've used for, I don't know, probably a year or so, and I've really gotten to know how to use it to get the best out of it. So between those two, I'm kind of set for video. I don't really need to rely on my stills camera all that much. But yeah, for what it's worth, video performance on this can be fantastic. I'm just going to go and check what the screaming's all about. All good, I think. Negatives, I really don't have many, I don't think. One of them would be, though, that I think it's trying a little bit hard to look retro. I think I'd prefer it if it looked a bit more modern. Just a little bit. I like the look, but I think it's trying so hard to look retro that it looks a bit fake. And the other gripe I've got with it, ergonomically, is that it keeps turning on in my pocket and shooting in my pocket. And I think it's because the on-off switch, which like on many cameras sits around the shutter, well, it's a tiny bit proud of the body. And so if you slip it into a pocket, I think it could turn on. Indeed, it does turn on, and then takes loads of pictures, I have found. And it maybe doesn't help that I've attached a soft shutter on top, but I don't think that would make too much of a difference. But yeah, they would be my only two gripes. Overall, though, I would say my thoughts on this camera could be summed up by saying that I consider myself a really enthusiastic photographer. It's my job, but it's also my hobby. And I would say that 97–98% of the time, when I have to go out and shoot, because it's my job, I actually want to go out and shoot. But there are times when I don't particularly want to go out and shoot. Not very often, but there are times when that is the case. And I think that is where using a camera that you enjoy really comes into its own. Because in that 2 or 3% of the time, whatever the percentage is for you, a camera that you like can be the difference between getting out and shooting because you want to shoot with a camera and not getting out and shooting. And very obviously, that can be the difference between getting photos and not getting photos. And it turns out that at the second time of asking, I really like this camera and it's getting me out more than when I shoot with other cameras. Here's a bit of a hot take though, when it comes to this camera and indeed this camera, this GFX. I think Fujis are too cheap. And if you're a Fujifilm shooter, I know you'll be swearing at me now, stick with me. So I spend a decent bit of time talking to other photographers, and I've heard on more than one occasion other photographers say to me that they wouldn't consider Fujifilm because they don't think it's good enough for their needs. And a number of times I've thought to myself, that's mad. And it must be a perception problem. And I think the perception problem comes from things like build quality. This camera doesn't feel super sturdy and it doesn't feel particularly well put together. If you have this in one hand and a Leica M camera in the other hand, you'd be under no illusions about which was the more expensive camera, just based on how they feel in the hand. Now you could buy 5, nearly 6 of these for one M11P. And this comes with a lens. Also, you could buy nearly 4 of these for the cost of one Leica Q3. So it stands to reason that they will feel like more premium products. The thing is, I think that bleeds into people's perceptions of image quality as well. People think that, yes, I'm getting this item that feels more well built, but surely it takes significantly better photos as well because it costs so much more and it feels so much better. And that, I think, is where Fujifilm does themselves a disservice. I mean, they will know their market much better than me, I'm sure. But what I would say is that this camera, and indeed this GFX, they feel less well put together than their output deserves. And perceived build quality is a strange thing. This camera might last for decades longer than a Leica. It just doesn't feel like it will. And of course you'd argue that it's not priced to either. I should have done a script, sorry. Basically what I think I'm trying to say is that having gotten to know this camera and really quite like it, I think if Fujifilm brought out a version that was titanium and that had dials that felt a little bit more robust, for instance, that was more expensive, I'd have no problem buying the more expensive one, I don't think, if it felt like it was going to last longer. Again, I'm talking about feelings, not actual longevity. I'm not an engineer, I don't know how long this will last. I don't know how long a Leica will last or any other camera. But in terms of feel, I'd pay for a camera that felt better because I think its output deserves for it to feel better. Again, if you're a Fuji shooter and you like the low prices for what they can do, I'm sorry. Did that make sense? Probably not. Now, as for the competition for this camera, I've spent a decent amount of time with the Leica Q3. I owned a Leica Q3 43 for a time. I own the Ricoh GR 3X, the 40mm version. Having used them all for a decent amount of time now, this is my favourite of all of them. And this is certainly the most fun, I think, of all of them. And I actually took my Sony down to Cornwall as well, and I shot with this for an hour or so one morning, and then I went back to the car, put this back in the car and got the Fuji back out because I was having so much more fun with the Fuji. And technically on every single level, this Sony A1 Mark II is a better camera. Significantly better camera. But this is more fun. And ultimately for most of us, even if your job is to take pictures, that's what matters because that's what's going to get you out shooting. So yes, there we go. Is it worth the TikTok hype? I mean, I've not really seen the TikTok hype, but no, I don't think so. It seems like it's gone a bit crazy over the past number of years, but is it a fantastic camera? Yes. Anyway, thank you for watching, and a big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video also. All the photos that I've shown in this video, I've put on a page on my Squarespace website. Go and check that out if you want. I've also got a page running that is showing the progress, the photographic progress of my my out-of-office project that I'm doing here in North Wales this summer. Still only a couple of videos into that. Go and check out those videos if you're interested. But Squarespace and my Squarespace website has become integral to my business as I've been using it over the past decade. It's where I have my portfolio, it's where I sell my books, my prints, my presets, it's where I send my newsletters from to promote things like workshops, and I can do all of that seamlessly without knowing a single line of code. I'm useless at technology, and with Squarespace it just doesn't matter. It's all drag and drop, very simple to use. I love it. So if you're a photographer and you would like somewhere to showcase your work online or to sell your books or your prints or anything like that, definitely check out Squarespace with a free trial. And you can start that free trial by going to squarespace.com, and after that, if you'd like to make a purchase, just go to squarespace.com/James to get 10% off your first purchase. Big thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheers.